Yeah, it is. All right. Well, it is noon. It is noon Eastern time. And the wonderful thing about Spaces is there's a recording. And I will upload this to YouTube afterwards to my channel. So plenty of people will have opportunity to hear this conversation. And really, I do these for selfish reasons. I'm doing this for me so I can get an update from Ridgeline Mineral CEO, Chad Peters. How you doing, Chad?
I'm good, Ben. Thanks. How about you?
I'm great. My P&L just turned green.
What?
And yeah, well, I don't only trade junior mining stocks. So
that's why.
I have a little bit of a secret. Yeah, I trade other things. But good news this morning. Just looking at the headline, shallow high grade, which we like to see. Shallow high grade.
Yeah.
The headline interval is about a meter, 720 grams per ton silver, 12% lead. That's really high grade lead. Zinc, not so high, 0.1% zinc, 0.4 grams per ton silver, for a total silver equivalent grade of 1,133 grams per ton. And that is with 61 meters grading about 175 grams per ton silver equivalent. So basically, the news you put out here this morning, first two holes of this drill program at the flagship project. Can you tell us more?
Yeah. No. So I think if anybody who wants to learn more about kind of get my take with some slides in front of them as well, should definitely take a look at my press release where we embedded a video in there as well, and just kind of breaking down across the sections, a little bit of geology in there. But what got us this is a two-part program, right? The first was going after these shallow holes, which we confirmed and hit with this press release. And the second part is drilling deeper beneath the Chinchilla discovery, about 400 meters to the west of these holes. And we're drilling right now 700-800 meter holes directly beneath Chinchilla. And those are the ones that could lead to a new discovery, right? So it's, we're really excited about the fact that when we drilled hole 47, we hit considerable oxide gold, right? Like we're talking 61 meters of 0.4 grams per ton oxide near surface. That's a pretty interesting hit in its own right. Then you factor in 70 grams silver, a little bit of lead and zinc in there. You got a pretty interesting intercept that's very near surface, that's oxide, and could potentially lead to a heap leach scenario in the future. So we still firmly believe that Selena has kind of two parts to it, right? Which is this shallow oxide story still has legs, and this hole proves that. And then also we're hoping that we can prove that there's a high-grade underground component to this system with the holes we're drilling now.
Okay, yeah, I do want to ask about the holes that you're drilling now. But first, I want to ask about the BBQ Rock. So if you're not a geo, you pull up this news this morning, you scroll down, and picture one is a UV photo of hole 49 core starting at 293 meters depth. And you make a point to say BBQ Rock in quotation. So can you explain to us in layman's terms why this is important?
Yeah, no. So BBQ Rock, or the proper term that Peter McGaugh has coined for it is fugitive calcite. And what that means is you can use UV light to track the CRD system, the strength of the CRD system, right? So if you're hitting bright reds and oranges like we are with picture one today, what that shows you is you have a lot of manganese and a lot of lead pushing around in your calcite veins, right? And what that means is somewhere very nearby, you're very proximal to a much larger CRD system. And we've seen this holds together pretty true for us. Like we hit great intercepts in hole 45, for example, last year. And if you look directly above and below that intercept, we have UV BBQ Rock right above and below those intercepts. So what the UV does is it's a proxy or a visual guide for us that we can use without assays, without anything else, to say, are we still in system? Are we still in a potential zone that could blossom into hopefully a a sulfide zone, right? So it's not a one-to-one with grade in that sense. Like you can't say, oh, I have BBQ Rocks, so I'm guaranteed going to have a major discovery. But what it shows you is with these deeper holes that we're drilling, essentially uncharted territory for us, right? We've never drilled this deep. We're still showing strong signs of system. It usually means it's a good sign for continuing the hole deeper and seeing what comes out of it. So we're excited about these next two holes, 49 and 50, and I think that we're going to hopefully lead to a new discovery this year.
So what the picture you showed was at 293 meters in hole 49. What did that grade, like, the area that you took a picture of?
Oh, we don't have assays on it yet. So that's just purely saying, hey, this is sorry, that wasn't. So that's hole 49, right? So that's still in progress. The hole's not even done. We still have 200 to 250 meters of that hole left to drill. And what we wanted to show is, hey, we're that BBQ Rock, it's below the upper Chinchilla Zone. It's below anything we've ever drilled. It shows that, hey, we've drilled well below this, and yet we're still seeing signs of CRD mineralization in the system, which, it's a good sign. It shows we're close to a big system. I mean, if you look at like Western Alaska, I think in their last hurrah target, they also put out a press release about a month ago, with one of their holes where it was a big step out hole, and it showed, hey, we're still hitting BBQ Rock. We believe we're in the right area, and I think they followed up with some good intercepts after that. So, we just want to make sure that people are aware of what the focus of those first two holes were, 47 and 48, and then following up with, okay, here's our strategy for 49 and 50, and this is where it could lead.
Got it. Okay. That was a great explanation. Thank you for that. Yeah, because I was looking at the assay table. And I'm like, where's hole 49? All right. Makes perfect sense now. So there's two holes that are ongoing. So does that mean you have two rigs?
No, as soon as we finish 49, which will be hopefully in a week, we'll move over to hole 50. We're just drilling with one rig right now.
I see. Yeah. Okay, got it. So how deep are you in hole 49?
We're sitting right at, I'm switching over from feet to meters here since our drillers drill in feet. We're at 1,900 feet right now. So roughly.
Okay, 600 meters.
600 meters.
All right. Yeah, wow. Okay, going deep. Yep. So the goal is to get to about 2,200 feet. Is that right? About
700, 750 meters is kind of our target range. And for us, it's really important to hit that contact, right? If anyone's looking at our cross section there that I have in the press release, that contact with the Gilmet and the Simonson, that's a really, really favorable contact that's totally been messed up, faulted. And we believe it'd be really permissive for fluids to come in and mineralize that zone, right? So it's really critical for us to hit that contact. And we don't know how thick it's going to be. We might hit it in the next 20 feet, or it could be the next 200 feet. It's never been drilled on the project. So we're obviously just projecting and using what we know of the geology at surface to project down the depth. But, you can get a lot of variability there. So we'll see what the next kind of week brings.
I see. So you're referring to the long section?
Yeah, the long section. Sorry, long section.
The long
CC
section.
prime, figure 2. Yep.
Got it. Okay, so you're going to learn a lot in these next two holes.
Yeah, this is a big one. And what we know, the reason we're drilling on both sides of this structure, when you look at that long section, we're drilling on both sides because we've drilled narrow high-grade intercepts on the east side of the fault, and we've drilled big, thick intercepts like hole 45 on the west side of the structure. So there is some kind of control going on that we don't yet understand, not between just call it the hanging wall and the footwall side of that fault. One side is mineralizing very strongly. The other side is still mineralizing strongly, but narrower. And so we're not sure what that is, right? Is there's a big intrusion, big dike that fills that fault that separates the two sides? Is that dike channelizing fluids more strongly to one side of the structure than the other? It's entirely possible. So that's what we're going to figure out with these holes, right? Is we need to drill on both sides of it and try to understand a little better, how is this system breathing and coming up through that structure and then out into the surrounding rocks. And once we know that, we can then start projecting that model across the remaining 3 kilometers of the project all the way over to the edge of the Butte Valley porphyry, right? So we've got drill holes 2.5 kilometers away from here towards the porphyry that have still continued to hit. And if we can take what we learned here from this program we can then say, okay, we've hit, new zones at depth. This dramatically increases our tonnage potential, and we now know where we need to drill, 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers to the west as well.
All right. Very good information there. A lot to study, essentially, for those who are, listening to this and maybe listening to the, recording. You can play that back because he just gave a lot of information. You can use the long section to help comprehend exactly what he's talking about there. But so you're in like the third month of this drill program, if I'm not mistaken. I think you started in August, and I think you're on hole 4 currently. Is that right?
Yeah. So we had 46, 47, 48. Unfortunately, 46 was lost just at the top of the ore zone at about 400 feet. Our very first hole. So that hole didn't. We had to re-drill that with hole 47, which cut in dramatically, kind of slowed us down and cut into our timing. But yeah, we're on hole number 4 right now. We'll finish with hole number 5 with hole 50, and I'm hoping we're going to be done the first few weeks of November. I mean, without fail, no matter how well I try to plan these programs out with my team, we always end up taking longer than we expected, right? Like drilling in Nevada.
Why is it so hard to run a drill program, Chad? I mean, you're not the only one. Every junior mining company I've ever followed, been a shareholder in, has had challenges with drill programs, and they usually take longer, and they usually cost more than planned. What are some of the challenges?
Well, especially, Nevada is somewhat unique, right? You can go up into Alaska and have a fly-in program, and that has its own challenges, obviously, right? But in Nevada, what you really fight is how broken up the rock is. So you end up drilling these holes. We're drilling, like I said, a 700-meter drill hole. The rock changes. In our case at Selena, the rock changes every 5 to 15 meters. You get you get clays, you get broken up zones. We have, the drillers, if they're drilling essentially marbles or gravel, right, it can take them 2 or 3 hours to drill 2 or 3 feet, right, and recover that 2 or 3 feet. So it's just incredibly slow. It's time consuming. And what happens too is, we've had multiple instances on just hole 47 alone where the hole has caved in on us from above. And then the guys have, in one case, the bit twisted off because you think of like throwing a bunch of marbles in a blender and trying to run it, right. You're gonna cause some damage. Well, that's exactly what happens when the holes cave in on themselves. So in this case, we've had you lose 2 or 3 days to trying to drill back down through that damage zone, get the hole recovered and then back up and moving again. So yeah, it's slow, it's time consuming, and when you think you've got it figured out in Nevada, I think it usually ends up throwing you a curveball.
So it's more challenging in the Southwest of the U.S. because now explain to me why the rock is so fractured in this area of the world. Is it due to the high heat and the major changes of temperatures from day to night, or is there something else going on?
No, it wouldn't be anything related to that. It's actually largely in part to the actual rock types themselves, right? So all of the Western U.S. is primarily a big box of carbonates and limestones and dollostones, right? Sediments. These tend to fracture really brittly, right? They fracture brittle, so it means they're all fractured up, broken, and you end up, at best, maybe you get a piece of core that's only 6 inches long that actually holds together in your hand right before it fractures and breaks again. Whereas when I started my career working in Red Lake, it was really weird if you weren't drilling 5 to 10 foot chunks of solid core, right? Because all of these rocks have been they're so much older in Canada and BC and all that. They're so much older. They've been cooked, they've been folded, they've been twisted, and what that, twisted up and metamorphosed. And just what that means is everything's been cooked and baked together so the rocks are more consolidated. So I remember drilling 2,000 meter holes in Canada and it not even being a big deal, right? 1,500 to 2,000 meters was like, okay, that's a deep hole, but it's not out of the normal, right? Whereas you come down here and you drill a 600 to 800 meter drill hole in Nevada, and you're like, oh shit, this is going to be a tough one, right? It's just a totally different setup, and so you got to fight your way through it.
So it's the type of rocks and it's the integrity or lack of integrity of the rocks in this region of the world, like as opposed to parts of Canada where the rocks have very high integrity and you can literally pull like a 3 meter, section of perfect pour out, which is very unusual in your part of the world.
I mean, just to simplify it, that's exactly true. I mean, you can run into obviously terrible drilling in Canada. You can run into good drilling in Nevada, but as a whole, it's considerably worse, considerably slower. And we're also, there's struggles in the industry with a lot of the older veteran drillers. They're all in their 50s and 60s and they're retiring, or they're running, they're the guys that are running the companies now. And what you're left with is a bunch of 25, 30-year-old drillers that just frankly aren't as experienced as well. So it's a tough mix, right? There's just like in geology, there's a real lack of young geologists coming into the space. Well, it's no different for drilling too. So there's so many factors that kind of factor into it being a difficult place to operate.
Okay, got it. I definitely learned something there. Thank you for that. A friend of ours made a new discovery in Idaho, it seems, a couple days ago, and they announced a new discovery of like 185 meters of 0.84% copper. So copper porphyries are starting to become, I feel like, in vogue to go explore and make a discovery for a copper porphyry. And it made me think of Big Blue.
Yep.
Can you give us, an update on that project?
Yeah, I was really excited and happy to see Chris and the team have such success on their very first drill hole testing this target, right? It was pretty incredible drill hit for them. It kind of got me excited because Big Blue to me is what that project is to Hercules, right? Like we have that potential to go out and drill a blind discovery at, in our case, relatively shallow depths, right? We think the main target beneath the historic mine is about 350 to 400 meters down. So it got me really excited to see that, the market still is responding to real bona fide discoveries and makes me want to get a drill hole out on Big Blue and get it tested, but that's not going to happen until probably 2024. But right now, you have Medicine Springs is the adjacent property. That's the CRD property right beside Big Blue, and that's being drilled by Reyna Silver. They're in the middle of their 3,000 meter program, and I'm hoping that they have success, and that would also, I think, kind of add to the story of Big Blue and help us with our targeting next year.
When do you expect to get an update from, Reyna Silver?
That's a good question. You know as good as I would. They've been drilling.
I don't know.
They've been drilling since July now, so I'd expect that you're going to start seeing drilling or start trickling out here probably in late October and into November would just be my guess. I mean, that's when we started as well, right? Was late July. We officially kicked the program off. We didn't get results out till today. So, I'd expect any time. And I hope that they absolutely kill it and get a great drill intercept. And I think Big Blue is shaping up to be, although it's conceptual, it's a really exciting project. And I'm excited to kind of get, we're going to budget for a much larger exploration program next year there as well.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of potential. I'm definitely very excited by Big Blue, but I'm also excited by the holes that you're drilling right now and what's going to come from those. So I guess final question, then we can open up the floor if somebody has a question for Chad. Which conferences are you planning to attend over the next few months? And in this really challenging sector environment right now, and obviously we all know that we're sort of in the, at the start of tax law selling season, which will probably last through almost to the end of the year. How do you, I guess, manage shareholder capital here in this kind of challenging environment, and how do you continue to stay, relevant, I guess?
Well, we actually have canceled all of our we had a European marketing tour planned for November. We've canceled all of it. Our focus right now is conserving capital and drilling a discovery hole. And in my opinion, what drives the stock price and the market cap for Ridgeline isn't me right now in this market going out there and flying all the way to Zurich and trying to convince somebody new to buy the stock. We have a lot of really great shareholders, a lot of people that are following the story. What's going to move things for us is drilling a big drill hole. So we're focusing on that. I'm hoping that we can deliver, and and then we'll probably kick off a little bit more marketing in the new year. But right now, we're really trying to conserve cash. It's an ugly market, and and we just want to make sure that the money's going in the right place, and we'll go from there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. If anybody has a question for Chad, please raise your hand, and I'll call on you. So, no conference plans for the rest of the year?
We're doing one little conference in Reno, kind of like a geology or Nevada-focused geology conference that isn't really a big shareholder, type of conference, and more of technically based, kind of like an SEG type conference. But we're doing that. I'm going to obviously, I'm constantly calling shareholders, doing shareholder letters. We're trying to get the story out where we can, but we just have felt that. Frankly, spending money on marketing right now has been like pissing in the wind. It's just not getting you anywhere, right? So, we'll see. Hopefully the markets turn, and as the markets improve, and whenever that may be, obviously our marketing efforts and our spending in that category would go up accordingly. But right now we're being pretty tight with cash.
Yeah, I saw you published a shareholder note. Is that something you plan to do every month?
I'm trying to get, it's really my fault, but for not doing it more. But my IR team has been on me for a year now to get better at it. But yeah, the idea is every month do the Rocks and Other Stuff newsletter. Make sure that we're getting that directly to the shareholders that actually care and are following the stock. And markets are tough, and like I said, everything takes longer than you'd expect. In this case, I had shareholders calling me and being like, this must be bad news with Selena, right? Because I haven't seen results out in September, and I expected results in September. So trying to make sure that people are aware of the challenges of timing and all that kind of stuff can go a long ways, I think, to just making people feel a little more comfortable and being comfortable with waiting until the right news comes out. So
all right, we have a question from Lavrion Mining. I see he's connecting. You have a question for Chad?
Looks like in the chat. Let's see here. What did he write something in the chat function? All right, he says no.
It says he can now speak, but is this another Twitter space glitch?
Wouldn't be a good space without at least one.
Oh, okay. Well, I did try to activate his speaker ability, and it says he can now speak, but then I also see it says connecting. So it could be like a Wi-Fi issue on his end. But yeah, thanks for this update, Chad. I think it was really good. I definitely want to study that long section a bit more and go back over some of the things you said. And I look forward to the next set of assays.
Yeah, that makes two of us. Actually, that's something I thought about that we didn't hit on. But we hit those pretty significant antimony breccias beneath the.
You know what? I was going to ask you about that. I forgot. Yes.
Those are pretty significant, right? Like antimony is a critical metal in the U.S. It's getting a lot of traction with the Department of Defense as far as funding and all that kind of stuff. The stibnite mine is getting a lot of their permitting pushed through because of their critical metals and their stibnite or their antimony component of their deposit. So, we're hitting multi-percent antimony. The stibnite deposit average grade of antimony is 0.06%, and we hit 4 meters of 1.2% and 0.6 or 0.9 meters, give or take, or 0.6, I think, of 2.5% antimony. So, pretty significant grades. I spoke to Peter McGaw about it. He just said that he's seen that before in some big Mexican CRDs that he's worked on, and what he believes they're associated with is it's kind of a sign of the last gasp of mineralization, blowing out of the system as that CRD kind of collapses within itself. So as part of the kind of porphyry system waning. So, is it going to be economic? Are we going to, is that going to turn into something that actually gets into a resource someday? I have no idea. The first 2 drill hits we've ever had at depth that hit antimony. So we'll see how it fleshes out. But, it's certainly not a bad thing to have a critical metal bounce around in the deposit, right?
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Thanks a lot again, and I look forward to the next set of results.
Sounds good,
and have a great day. Yep.